Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Pro Age Blueprint Summit. I'm Kristen Coffield. I'm the founder of the Culinary Cure, but I'm a lot of other things too. And today I have the pleasure of interviewing Arielle Ford, who has just given an extraordinary TED Talk about aging, and I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about that. But Arielle is a accomplished author. She's written 12 books, but she's just having so much fun at this point in her life that we're going to tap into her energy and learn more about what she's doing today. So, Arielle, welcome.
Thanks, Kristen. I'm so happy that the universe randomly had us bump into each other recently. So it's just a delight to be with you.
Thank you. Yeah, I happened to be in La Jolla for a couple of days and I was working out at this new gym that my friend took me to, and Arielle and I were sitting next to each other, and the conversation came around to aging. And I mentioned something about the Pro Age Blueprint, and Arielle said she was giving a TED Talk on aging, and I said I was interviewing Chip Connolly, who is one of the other speakers that's a part of this event. And it just felt so energetically right that Arielle needed to be in the summit as well. So here she is. And Arielle, could you tell us a little bit about your TED Talk? Do you mind starting there? Because I
No,
love
happy to do it.
this.
So the title of my TED Talk is Queenager, the Wabi Sabi Path to Aging Happily. And I know there's some words in there that most people are like, what the heck is all of that? So a queenager is a woman at midlife or beyond who is satisfied with her age and lives as freely as when she was a teenager. And wabi sabi is an ancient Japanese aesthetic that honors all things old, worn, weathered, imperfect, and impermanent. And it seeks to find beauty and perfection in imperfection. So the easiest way to think about it is like imagine you had an ancient Ming vase and it had like a long crooked crack down the center of it. You could throw it away, but a Japanese museum would put it on a pedestal and shine a spotlight on the crack. Or they might even fill the crack in with 24 karat gold. So wabi sabi was actually never meant to be related to aging, but I've been studying wabi sabi since the 80s and I love it so much. I thought, well, now that I'm 71, I'm a wabi sabi queenager because chronologically I'm old, but internally I'm still 16. Now I've got the keys to the car and I got my own credit cards and I have no curfews, but I'm still waiting to see who or what I become when I grow up. And I don't plan on growing up.
So there you've got it. So this feels like kind of newfound freedom, right?
It's so freeing. It's just the greatest thing in the world. I was talking to a friend who I haven't seen in 4 years yesterday. She had moved out of the country. And I told her, I said, what I love about my life right now is that I have decided I am no longer ever again doing things that have deadlines or responsibilities. I'm just not, I'm not, if I have to, the only way I'm going to make plans is if I'm going to travel, because travel really requires that. But for the most part, I wake up in the morning and just kind of ask myself, well, what would you like to do today? And yes, are there things that I need to do? Yeah, I have to go grocery shopping, certain things have to be done. But there's this level of joy and freedom and carefreeness that I certainly didn't have when I was running businesses. I was a total type A perfectionist, and I could make shit happen, right? I could get stuff done. But then about 11 years ago, I had this awakening. My sister had just died this long, slow, horrible cancer death. I had taken off a few weeks to sort of be with her at the end. And then when I came back, I had this huge long list of responsibilities of stuff that I couldn't hand off to anybody. And one night my husband sat me down and he had tears in his eyes. And he said, I'm really afraid that if you keep going at this pace, you're going to die. You're going to die just like your sister did. 'Cause she was an overworker. He said, and I wouldn't survive you dying. And he's not a drama queen. Like the fact that he actually said this meant that he'd been thinking about it for quite a while. So I thought about it. I thought, okay, what could I do to slow down? And I looked at the calendar and I saw that it would take 90 days until I could take some time off. And my first thought was, oh, I'll go on a little vacation, you know? So I said, okay, we're going to Tahiti. You know, we're going to go to the Four Seasons Bora Bora and we're just going to live it up. Well, we got to the Four Seasons Bora Bora and it was a dream come true. It was phenomenal. But when I got home, I was like, well, that's not enough. And I called my partners that I was working with, and it's like, no, I need more time. I'm going to take off 6 more weeks. And so I shut everything down. No phone calls, no emails, no texting, no visiting with anybody. I got a bat phone. I called it my bat phone. And the only person who had the phone number was my mother. Other than that, I was unreachable. And I, you know, went and I signed up and I got chiropractic and acupuncture and massages and facials and started reading novels. And at the end of 6 weeks, I was like, no, I'm still not ready, you know? And I realized that I had been an addict. I had been an adrenaline junkie. You know, I loved my work. Why did I love my work? Because I was getting dopamine hits all day long. I was really good at what I was doing. And I had a long to-do list every day. And I loved crossing things off on my list because then I got this hit. And if I did something that wasn't on my list, I put it on the list so I could cross it out. That's how much of a work junkie I was. So I ended off taking 108 days off to sort of reboot and recalibrate. And at the end, I realized that this was not a temporary thing. I need to rearrange my life so that work wasn't the sole focus of it. And then of course, because I'm a writer and I've written 12 books, everybody kept saying, oh, I need to do that. Are you going to write a book about it? It's like, no, that would be the worst thing I could do is write a book about how I stopped being an adrenaline junkie. You know, that's the antithesis of what. So it's been this long ongoing process to let go of this identity of who I was. And I'm not even going to tell the audience who it was. You want to Google me if you want to know my history. It's very impressive. But I'm not that anymore. I'm not that person. So when I ran into our mutual friend Sue yesterday and she said, oh, tell my friend what you do. And I was stymied. I was like, God, that's the last thing I want to do is regurgitate my resume. You know, so these days if someone says, well, what do you do? I'm a storyteller. That's it for right now. That's who I am today. I'm a storyteller and I'm playful and I'm excited. I'm so excited about the future, you know, because I don't know what it is. And for the first time in my life, I don't need to know because I was always in like, oh my God, we just had a recession. I lost 75% of my business. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I don't know what I'm going to do. And I love being in the not knowing. And our mutual friend, Chip Conley, when I spent a week teaching down at his Modern Elder Academy, what I learned was that there's this word called liminal space. And when we live in the liminal space, in the space of not knowing, that's when we're open and our heart's open for the universe to present us with something we couldn't even imagine. I just imagine that I'm floating in this ocean of love and mercy, and I don't know what's next. And all I can do is trust that now that I've been on the planet for 7 decades, good stuff always comes. Right. And when the bad stuff comes, I survive it. There's nothing I can't survive when I look back at what I've already survived. So there's nothing to be afraid of.
This is so powerful. So many women who are going to hear this have really kind of closed themselves in to a way of thinking about who they are, about what their responsibilities are and who they're responsible to. And they've put these limitations on themselves. And what you're describing is, finding that liminal space where everything is possible and you can let go of the need to control the outcome and just enjoy the ride.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's really I'm kind of amazed that I'm there, having been this control freak like I was the master of the universe, at least my universe. And if I wanted something, I could get it. And I lived in the world where nobody ever said no to me. And if they said no to me, it only meant no, not right now. It didn't mean no forever. Like I'm a psychotic optimist. It's like, oh, you don't want to do that for me? Okay, well, I'm going to figure out something that you're going to say yes to. But I don't even need that anymore because it's like I no longer have a bucket list.
Mhm.
Like I don't have to have anything. Um, my favorite line in A Course in Miracles is, in this moment, I have everything that I need. And that is always true. I have a great chair to sit in. I have a house to live in. I have friends and family who love me. I've never gone hungry. I live in paradise. So regardless of what shows up, I just remind myself, oh, in this moment, I have everything that I need.
I I am so inspired by what you're saying because you're putting into words so many things I think about. And I think there are a lot of women who are afraid to think this way because there's something a little scary about giving up the control.
Yeah. Oh, no, it totally is. And I'm not afraid to be afraid anymore. So I used to like, okay, oh, I'm feeling scared. What could I do to not feel scared? So I have this whole toolkit, EFT tapping and the Sedona method and my heart math, meditation stuff. And we're taking lavender baths. I have like all this stuff to not feel what I'm feeling. And now it's just kind of like, oh, I'm feeling afraid. Okay, what triggered it? Could I just allow myself just for this moment to be afraid? And if I allow myself to do it, it usually will dissipate as opposed to trying to push it away. And it took me all this time to really get that. I'm sure somebody tried to teach me that in one of the 10,000 workshops I've taken, but I've never gotten it. But now it's kind of like, oh, everything's going to be all right. One of the things that helped me most recently was signing up to do this TED Talk. I've done a million talks on stages. Doing a TED Talk was never on my to-do list ever. But I read this little article in the local paper that it was going to be here in La Jolla where I live. And I thought, oh, what the hell? It's down the street. And in the article, they listed 26 topics. 25 of the topics I couldn't talk about, but one of them was pro-aging. And I thought, oh, well, let me just sit down and see if I have something to say about pro-aging. And this talk just came through me like instantly. I just wrote it and then I submitted it. And then they said, oh, we really like this. Do a video of yourself reading it. I did that. I submitted it. They said, oh, there have been 518 submissions. We're going to invite you to the live auditions where you can read your talk. So, okay, I can read my talk. I went to the live auditions. There were 28 people, and then they narrowed us down to 9 people. Now, I didn't know when I signed up for this that you are not allowed to have a teleprompter or a cheat sheet or anything. Like you have to memorize your talk. And before you memorize it, they, at least in San Diego, they have to approve every word of the talk, and then once they do that, then they assign you a coach to work with. So I went through all of this, and most of my talk is about my bad memory. I have a notoriously bad memory. And I'm like freaking out. It's like, how am I going to stand on the stage in front of 500 people and count on my horrible memory to not freeze? So I wasn't afraid of standing there. I was afraid of freezing. So not only did I use the coach they gave me, I hired another coach who works with actors in Hollywood and uses hypnosis. And even on the last day, I made a little cheat sheet and I put it in my pocket and I went to the theater. And when I got there, the cheat sheet wasn't in my pocket. And I started to panic. And I was like, holy shit, it's not there. I know I put it in my pocket, but maybe with my terrible memory, I've left it somewhere. Anyway, I got there. I remembered my talk. It was the most fun I've ever had. I had 500 people laughing through the whole thing. I've never had an experience like that before. And when I got home that night and I took off my clothes, the cheat sheet was in my pocket. Now, I can't explain it because trust me, I dove my hand into that pocket many times. What happened? Anyway, I got it done.
The universe had you. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't ever find what's lost, right? So that's
Yeah, it was crazy. So listen, I would tell anybody if you experience a lot of fear and anxiety and you want to get over it, go do a TED Talk. Because I experienced levels of anxiety I haven't felt since my 20s. It was just like me standing on a stage teaching. That's what I did for years. It's not a scary place for me until it was. Then it was like, why did I do this? Like,
because you were a queenager again,
yes, yes.
right? You were feeling something for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, no, it was definitely an experience. So yeah, I think stretching myself at that level was really worth doing.
I know so many women who are listening to this are thinking about fear because that's a big part of aging. Fear of what's next, fear of the unknown, fear of dying, fear of losing loved ones. And for many women, they get to this point in their lives, and like the story you told about your sister, there's something that really moves the needle and can really open up things that we've sort of kept tightly held to our hearts, right? We sort of closed this part of us off so that we could be those super women and do all those things and be everything to everybody except ourselves. And now we find ourselves at this age and we have the time and we have the resources. And now it's okay to kind of what you're saying is it's okay. Just
Yeah,
relax. Just like you can just embrace what is without having to make it something.
yeah, yeah. I mean that's definitely been the lesson for me. And I have to say now that I've been, all of my family really that knew me since I was a child, there's only one person still alive from that part of my life. They're all gone. But what I've discovered is that I don't personally have a fear of death. My fear is around suffering because I watch so many of them at the end of their lives, go through so much pain and horror and fear and all of that. So now I'm just getting to the point where, fortunately, I live in California. And in California, we have what's called the death option, which is phenomenal. So, if you're diagnosed with a terminal illness, you can go see this doctor who will confirm that you have a terminal illness and will confirm that you're in your right mind. And they'll send you home with this drink. So, if at any point you want to check out, you can take the drink, and in 15 minutes, you will painlessly go to sleep and it'll be over. So that's sort of the option for the suffering part. Like if God forbid this happens to me, I know I don't have to suffer. I'll have a choice. What's really interesting about this is that 75% of the people who get the drink never take it, but they feel better knowing that should they really experience true pain, they have that option.
So interesting how that works, right? Just knowing you could end
Right.
it is
Yeah,
enough.
because
It's
if you watch somebody, in a cancer death, you just know it's like the pain levels can get so high that there's nothing to. I was just talking to a friend today who's going through that with her mom. She said her mother's in ongoing excruciating pain at 92. They can't find a way to deal with the pain. I said, well, it's just too bad you're not in California or the state of Washington or Oregon, because she wouldn't have to suffer.
We have another interesting interview that we did in the Pro-Age Woman Blueprint, which was with Heather Lee, and she's a psychedelic psychotherapist, and she journeys women on psilocybin mushrooms. And many women who are going through cancer choose this form of plant medicine to help ease the stress and help
Yeah.
alleviate some of the fears around, dying.
Yeah, there's a lot of that out there that is really helping people. I always say I'm so excited that I'm a baby boomer because I got to experience the summer of love. So I grew up in a time where A, we had the best music, B, sex couldn't kill you, and most importantly, you could trust your drug dealer. There was no fentanyl. If somebody said this is window pane acid, that's what it was. If somebody said these are mushrooms I picked in the field yesterday, that's what it was. So we got to do the drug, sex, and rock and roll and try everything out, and then of course I got into my 30s and it's like, I actually like being conscious as opposed to being high and let it all go. But for the people who haven't had that experience, it's so great that there are trusted resources to be able to journey and to let go and to have these kinds of mind expanding experiences.
And the therapy. So speaking of mind expanding, let's talk a little bit about brainwashing.
Oh, yeah. So so I'm going to tell everybody something they already know. We have all been brainwashed. We have been brainwashed to seek perfection, to have the perfect body and the perfect home and the perfect kids. And, everywhere we look, the media is out there. There's whole channels, there's HGTV, and there's, all kinds of infomercials, get the anti-aging this and the anti-aging that. And it's bullshit. Okay. It's just total BS, this perfection. Perfection is not possible. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. And nobody would like you if you were perfect. So that's why I like Wabi Sabi so much. If you could just learn to do a shift in perception about where you are seeing imperfection in yourself or others or in your life and make up a new story about it. Like I'll tell you a story that really explains it. I was teaching a Wabi Sabi workshop in Idaho once, and I put everybody into groups of 3 to see if they could come up with Wabi Sabi solutions in their own life. And this one woman stood up and she said to me, she said, I have something that even you can't fix. I was like, try me. She said, well, my name's Stephanie, and I've been married to, I forget his name, Todd, for 16 years. And I'm at the point where I don't think I can live with him any longer. She said, I'm a neatnik. I'm a perfectionist. Everything has its place clean freak. And Todd is a total messy slob. And everything he touches turns to dirt. Um, and she said that the only reason we're still together right now is because he has an out of state job. And so for 2 weeks of every month, he's gone and the house is totally clean and it's pure and perfect and it's great. She said, but I'm really at my wit's end. And I said, okay, Stephanie. I said, do you have a dog? And she said, yes. Does your dog shed? Yes. what do you do when the dog sheds? Oh, I vacuum up after him. And I said, well, Stephanie, do you love your dog? And she got really quiet. She's like, oh my God, Todd sheds. And in that moment, she totally got, just like the dog can't help shedding, Todd can't help being a slob. And she just was all lit up. Fast forward 2 years, I'm writing a new book called Turn Your Mate into Your Soulmate. And I remember this incident. And I think to myself, well, I wonder if Stephanie and Todd are still together. There were 300 people in this workshop. I never knew her last name. But I called the promoter of the event and I said to her, I have the weirdest request ever, but I really need your help. I said, when I was teaching, there was a woman in my workshop whose name was Stephanie, and she said her name was Todd, and I have to find her. And the woman said, oh, she's my best friend. She's a realtor here in town. Here's her number. So I called Stephanie up. I said, hey, Stephanie, remember me? How are you? Blah, blah, blah. I said, I'm writing this book and I really need to know something. How are things with Todd? And she said, oh my God, they've never been better. She said, we are so happy that Todd quit his out of state job so he could have a stay at home business with me and we could be together 24/7. And you don't have to ask, yes, he's still a slob. So
I
that's
just got
what's
a chill.
possible. Yeah, she didn't say to Todd, you have to change. She had done that for 16 years. She had a shift in perception. She made up a new story. Oh, this is who he is. I love him. He's a great man. And this is who he is. And I'm going to have to clean up after him.
Hmm. So how can we take this perception shifting and apply it to aging?
Well, and that's what I've really done. I'm always looking for the good in aging. Like what's really good about this? I don't have to work as hard, right? I don't have to work out as hard. I can you read all this stuff about nutrition and don't eat this and don't eat that and this is bad for you and blah blah blah. And if you give up this, you'll live 2 years longer. Well, I live in the world is I don't need another 2 years. If I want to have the cheesecake, of course, I'm not going to eat it every day. I'm going to have the cheesecake. I'm just going to give myself a break. For a long time, my doctors have been wanting me to take statins with this big family history of heart disease, and I haven't taken them and I haven't wanted to take them. And finally, she sat me down the other day and she said, listen, I can just put you on something really low dose and it's going to make a difference. And I thought to myself, well, you know what? It's 71. I'm on a time clock anyway. Maybe I should try it. Maybe I could let go of this belief that I shouldn't do this. And I started taking it. I don't feel any different at all, you know? So I think on the whole aging thing, let's make up a new story. Like I let my hair go gray. I've said no to Botox and plastic surgery. I don't care if my friends do it, and most of them do, but for me, who would I be doing it for? My husband would have a cow if I did it. It wouldn't be for him. So I'd be doing it for me. And I've just gotten to think like, this is my wabi sabi face. However, I have a confession. I absolutely love and worship the filters on Zoom. I'm never giving up my Zoom filters ever, which is why I don't do Instagram lives because I look so bad on Instagram,
God, I don't know
without my
about these
filters.
filters. I
You
need to
don't
get
know? Okay,
those.
so when you're on Zoom, go to preferences and then
Okay,
go to video
okay.
and then you'll see something that'll say like appearance and there's a sliding thing. I slid mine all the way to the right and now I have these filters.
So this is like putting on rose-colored glasses.
Yes, 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 yes. I never go anywhere without my rose-colored glasses. These are mine. So there was a study done at a university years ago, and what they found was that people who consciously choose to wear rose-colored glasses live longer, healthier, happier, and more satisfying lives. Now, why is that? Because people who wear rose-colored glasses are always looking for what's right instead of looking for what's wrong. So it's a choice that we have. It's really easy when somebody disappoints us or where something doesn't go our way. We want to kill them. But the truth is, they didn't wake up that morning saying, how could I totally piss Kristen off? What could I do to ruin her life today? They don't do it on purpose. They're just perfectly imperfect humans, and yes, you can say to them, hey, when you said this about that, it really hurt my feelings. Of course, because the older we get, the more honest and transparent and self-expressed we can be. You just have to say it in a sweeter, gentle tone, as opposed to you stupid bitch,
Right.
which is what the teenager in me wants to say, like
Right.
in this moment,
Right.
I fucking hate you. Excuse me. It's my favorite word. So yeah, rose-colored glasses. I got these for $12 on Amazon years ago.
So rose-colored glasses, and you don't actually have to wear rose-colored glasses to see through them. You can
No,
put your filter on, so you
yeah,
can move the dial to the right, and that's your rose filter, and that's how you're going to choose to see the world and things that are happening.
yeah. I mean, it would be really easy to just stress out about the state of the world, especially as it is right now. But the truth is, it's not our fault. We didn't create this mess, right? We don't have enough power to fix the mess. So my motto these days is to have as much fun as possible. Yes, the Middle East is burning up. Yes, half the country's blue, half the country's red, and they hate each other. We can't fix that, but we can try to like listen to more comedy, like there's a lot of funny stuff out there about it. I posted something yesterday. Uh, there was a picture of Trump. He took a nap in court. He fell asleep at the trial, and there was a picture of him. So I just put the picture up and I said, write your own headline to this. I wasn't taking a side on it. It was just like, it's kind of funny. This is like a big deal. How do you fall asleep, in the middle of the fact that you're being sued for millions of dollars?
Well, that's a gift, I suppose, you know?
Right. Well, he could, who knows? I'm not going to try to figure that
We
one
won't
out.
go there.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of that, sometimes people can be annoying. How would you want to leave our listeners and viewers with how they could handle a situation in a wabi-sabi solution-oriented
Yeah.
way?
So when somebody pisses you off, no matter who they are in your life, I would recommend that you get out of the line of fire as quickly as possible and go someplace to get your heart back to neutral. So go use whatever it is that you use, even if it's having a glass of wine. Get yourself out of there and just say, listen, I'm feeling a little triggered and I need a timeout, right? And then go off by yourself, take a lavender bath, go for a walk, do some deep breathing, do all of those things. Often I'll take a salt bath with lavender and I'll do my deep breathing in the tub, until I can get back to, and reminding myself they're not doing this on purpose. I this is reminding me of something my mother used to do to me or whatever it is. Get back to neutral and just realize that they're just these perfectly imperfect beings. They didn't mean to do it. They're not doing it on purpose. And then you can go back and have a conversation like people, there's this old saying, you should never go to bed angry. Okay, I disagree with that completely. If it's 1 o'clock in the morning and you've been out and you've been drinking and things were said, there's nothing that's going to happen at 1:30 that's going to fix this. Go to sleep, even if it's another room. And in the morning, you ask your spouse, I have a problem. This is exactly what you say to them. I have scripts for this in my book, Turn Your Mate into Your Soulmate. I have a problem that I need your help with. Do you have 10 minutes sometime today to maybe go for a walk where you can help me with my problem? And of course, they're going to say, tell me now. No, 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 no. Let's do it later in the day when we can go for a walk. Then you meet them at the time. They get to pick the time, right? And as you're walking, you're just going to say to them, I know how much you love me. And I know that you would never purposely try to hurt me. And then last night, when we were with Bill and Susie at the party, you said ABC, which made me feel XYZ. And then you shut up. You do not open your mouth again. And you give guys time to think because they're not spontaneous. They need to think. Chances are he's going to respond something like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. That's not what I meant. I would never do that. Whatever it is. And then you accept the apology and you don't talk about it again and you just move on. But if you try to, fix a big angry mess late at night, nobody's going to get any sleep and it'll only make it worse for tomorrow. So that's one thing you can do that will really work, because you have to keep remembering they're not doing it on purpose unless you're with a psychopath, in which case you need professional help to get out.
Yeah. And you could do that with anybody, not just your
Anybody, right?
partner,
Because really, if you're with your friends, if you start with, I know how much you love me, they're listening,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
That's true. I do love you, and of course I wouldn't want to hurt you.
Arielle Ford, you are delightful. I am so honored that I got to interview you today, and we got to have this meaningful conversation that is real. It's helped me, and
Oh,
I'm so inspired by the idea of wabi-sabi aging and being a queenager and embracing the imperfections that are come with age. And
yeah,
it's not a bad thing because we're going to see through our rose-colored glasses. We're actually seeing with more clarity.
exactly. Exactly. Well, thank you. This was really fun for me because it's very different from what I normally talk about, and I'm really bored with all the other stuff I used to talk about. So this was very enlivening for me.
Oh, wonderful. We will include all the information about you, whether you still like that information or not, so that the people who are attending the summit can find you and find more about you. And then we will definitely be sending a newsletter with a link to your fabulous TED Talk. So
Thank
Arielle
you.
Ford, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, I can stop the recording.